Gentlemen, the GW M500 is still available on the G-Shock website. All right, I looked this one up on Shockbase, which is an online G-Shock database. And according to it, this watch came out in 2013. All right, that's a monumental year. That's the year that I moved down to Texas, moved my family down here. But anyways, this is still available on gshock.com. I will leave a link in the description below. I don't think that it's going to be around for that much longer. It seems to be a model that, you know, they're kind of moving on from, which is a shame because this has everything that a G-Shock old head will love, okay? And a G-Shock old head, you know, is one of us guys that there's three most important things that a G-Shock old head wants. Positive LCD, Multiband 6, and the tough solar, which is available on this one, okay? And that's what the W in GW stands for, is the tough solar. Or no, excuse me, the Multiband 6, right? So, this one I'm going to let my son borrow, okay? Or I'm going to, you know, let me tell you where I got it, okay? This was in the G-Shock mystery box from Tim Johnson of Real Ideal Gear, okay? There was so much stuff in that G-Shock mystery box. I actually got this ammo cam from Hobo Freight. That's how much stuff was in it. All these watches, G-Shocks, the GW M500A, and the Gravity Master, okay? I'm going to try out the Gravity Master. My son, who is 19, is going to try this one out, okay? So they have a race. Denise is training for a race this Saturday. My son's coming down. It's going to be in Caprock Canyon, all right? So it's like, you know, trail running. And so I figured he'd need a good watch for that, right? And so I showed my son, who's 19, a bunch of the watches that I had in my G-Shock toolbox, and this one caught his eye, all right? So he's gonna try it out, and the good thing is that he doesn't have to worry about setting it, because that Multiband 6, every night at midnight, it will pick up that signal from Fort Collins, Colorado, which isn't that far away from us. We're in West Texas. In fact, my son's up in Canyon, Texas. But let me just go over some of the features, because this one's jam-packed with some of the old school features that, you know, again, I think an old head would really like. First of all, you know, we'll talk about the legibility. Big, huge numbers. And the interesting thing about this one is that there's a hot topic right now on, you know, among the, you know, in the watch community, is how Casio and G-Shock watches, when you look at them straight on, they're a little bit dim. Like, they get crisper, just a little bit off axis, you know, just like slightly obtuse angles, right? And I think that it's because when it's on your wrist, a lot of times you just kind of, you don't look at it straight on. At least that's what we're all theorizing, okay? This watch, even though it's like an older one, a 2013 one, has that same thing where you look at it straight on, a little bit dimmer. I don't know if this exact watch is from 2013, but this model, the GW M500A, according to Shockbase, came out in 2013. Whether they all had that feature, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. It's kind of a controversy. But anyways, the digits are very big. All right. Now, you know, when it comes to big digits, the champion of that is the AE 1500, which somewhere in here, let's dig it out. There we go. So the AE 1500 still mogs the GW 500A in terms of size, all right? But for a G-Shock, these are big, beefy numbers, all right? Because a lot of G-Shocks, they have pretty small numbers, and should have my other son come in here because he's wearing the square, the 5610. But anyways, here's a Rangeman just for comparison. You can see the GW M500A, the digits are bigger than the Rangeman, you know, and just a size comparison for these two watches, surprisingly similar, right? And the GW M500A, pretty thick too, all right? Now, seeing that this is from Tim Johnson, you'll have to watch his review of it, because he has a whole algorithm to describe how chunky a watch is. He calls it the chunkiness factor, and he takes a few different dimensions. It may only be size and thick, or width and thickness, which is to me is pretty advanced because, you know, I have like, I don't know, like one of those high double-digit IQs, you know, but he has a chunkiness factor. And so watch his video on this if you want to see how he rates it in terms of chunkiness. Now me, being the high double-digit IQ, I just eyeball it, right? So we're going more for qualitative than quantitative here. And where did I just throw Rangeman? There it is. So which one looks chunkier to you? All right. And I believe that this GW M500A, I believe that it predates the release of the GW 9400, which is what this Rangeman is. All right. Now Denise tried this on. Denise, you thought this this watch with this metal on it, you thought it was uncomfortable?
Yeah, I felt like it was uncomfortable.
Right, because she has a dainty wrist for chicks. All right, and I thought, you know, I tried it on. I thought it was surprisingly comfortable. It actually fit.
This one?
Yeah.
It's really heavy on the top.
Okay, so she finds it heavy, and if you look like on the side, it's like leaving gaps, right? So maybe this is a good watch for above average size wrister. I'm not going to say it's a great watch for a big wrister because it just barely fit me. All right, I'll try it on just to show you what I mean. And my wrist is about 8.5 inches. And you want to take it off, Cutie?
It's like a little too tight on this setting. A little too loose on the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, so the whole style of this is like it's like they're trying to make this like they're trying to make a more advanced, better designed band, and it's more streamlined design, but they abandoned it, and a lot of their watches are kind of throwbacks because, you know, about 6 years after this watch, they released the GA 2100, you know, which is a newer watch, but again, they made it look like an older watch, right? But the GW M500 is a watch that was like, hey, this is what the future is going to look like for G-Shock, but it's like the forgotten future, which is actually the name of a watch series that G-Shock made, and I know that's confusing. But anyways, so I guess 8.5 inches is probably the max because my left wrist got squished by the Mudman. The Mudman squished my wrist, and so it's a little bit less than 8.5 inches now. My right wrist is still 8.5 inches because the Mudman did not squish it, and if I put it on, you will see that like at 8.5 inches, you know, it's like the last rung. And so for previously, I'd never worn G-Shock watches because I didn't think any of them fit, you know, when I tried them on in the 90s because, you know, I got a big wrist and always have had a big wrist. But 8.5 inches is definitely the limit, I would say, all right? And you see on TikTok, they have those grip testers. Someone at work had them, and I got 164.8. So if we round up 165 pounds on the grip test. But I have been, you know, working that out because if you have big wrists, you gotta pull big in terms of that grip tester. So I'm hoping, you know, there's been a few times when that grip tester has been sprung on me. So I want to get up there. I want to get up to 180 because, you know, if you got 8.5 inch wrists, you gotta pull 180 on that grip tester. You know, the one they have on TikTok everywhere. But anyways, all right, we're getting off subject. This watch. All right, I found it to be comfortable. Denise, whose wrist is closer to 6 inches, did not find it to be comfortable. So my son's going to wear this one. He's going to try it out. His wrist, I'm going to say, is probably between 7.5 and 8 inches. Didn't actually measure it, but he's a big boy. All right, you know, and so we'll see what he thinks. All right. Now the features that this doesn't have a lot of the features that, you know, you'd assume the young bucks would want. You know. You'd think, oh, these younger people, they want, you know, their smartwatches, right? They want, you know, they probably, where is it? They want one of these connected ones. Like, this is the GBD H2000, you know, it's a heart rate monitor and everything. You know, I'd let my son try this out, but I actually like this one. I want to keep it because I'm trying to get in shape. But it would be useful in a race, and I do have a video coming up where I did wear this in a race, and I actually got it in a medal. It was the first race I'd run in years, and I placed third. I don't know if it was third out of 3 or what, but I got a medal. All right. And anyways, this one has a heart rate monitor and Bluetooth, and it's connected. The GBDH 2000, right? This one, no Bluetooth. It has a multiband 6. All right. No heart rate monitor. So will a 19-year-old like it? Well, stay tuned. My 19-year-old is going to try it, all right? And I think the more I try and wipe it off with my hands, the dirtier it's getting, because I've been working on Steve's Mustang, right? The exhaust manifold. That's why my hands are so dirty. Anyways, main time, you hit mode, and you have the world time, all right? Forward and reverse. Right now we have it set for the central time zone, but you could see, my son could see what time it is where his grandparents live, my parents in the East Coast. Or, if he goes into New Mexico. Well, that's Mexico. That's not New Mexico. This is Mountain Time, Denver. So we could see, easily tell the time, the local time, if we go to Carlsbad again, all right? So that's the world time feature. The next we have alarms, and it's easy to navigate through the alarms. You got alarm 1. And so here we have the 7-segment display for the time, but down here we have a dot matrix. So you can see alarm 1. So forward and reverse turns it on or off. So let me see if we can, alarm 2. How do we scroll through the alarms? Might be doing this wrong. Yeah, alarm 3, alarm 4, the snooze alarm, and the hourly time signal. So it's going to beep at the top of every hour. And while we're looking at that, we can still see the time right now, which is an amazing feature. And it's a shame whenever Casio G-Shock releases a watch that doesn't show you the time as you scroll through the different functions. All right. Here's a stopwatch. It has fractions of a second, which is amazing. New watches don't always have fractions of a second. The GBDH 2000 being one where you go to the stopwatch, takes a minute to scroll through all these items, but you go to the stopwatch, and when you hit start, you're only going to see the seconds. So if you're timing a 40-yard dash, your whole football teams are either going to run 5 seconds or 6 seconds. This older watch, amazingly, has fractions of a second, split time, all that jazz. And we have a timer, all right, which you can set. And how high can you set it? I don't even know. This is hours, minutes, and seconds, right? So it looks like a 24-hour timer. And you can go forward and reverse. And let's see what happens when you hold forward. Does it go quickly? Yes. See how I'm holding down the button and it's moving quickly? That's something these new, highly advanced watches do not have, right? You can't scroll through parameters quickly by holding forward or reverse on the GBDH 2000. All right. Now what else we have? We're back to the main time. All right. So to check whether you've received the multiband 6, I believe from the main time, it will tell you when you got the time. So this was a couple days ago. And so some of you may be surprised to learn that this G-Shock toolbox is a Faraday cage, right? Philip Lahell says it's a Faraday cage. It also blocks solar power, so the watches don't get solar charged when they're in this G-Shock toolbox. So, and the YouTube commenters have nicknamed this the coffin, all right? A lot of watches have died. Notice the King, which is solar powered, is dead, all right? I've shown that we can bring it back to life by exposing it to sun, but while it is in the G-Shock toolbox, also known as the coffin, it dies. And what else died? I think that we have another death to report. This goes into power saving mode. See how it says PS? Power saving mode. The Rangeman has gone into power saving mode. So when I pop open the lid, it springs to life. But until then, oh, and by the way, this watch, which is another fitness watch, I cannot, it does not fit. It's too small. And I like how it's diminutive. I like this newer design. It's like really light. It's plastic. A lot of people say it's cheap. It's plastic. True. It's kind of built like a Happy Meal toy. Right? You can see how it's like snapped together. But very diminutive, all right? And unfortunately, the band is too short, right? There's a Casio version of that watch. That one has a step counter. The Casio version, did I lose it? Where'd it go? And what am I even looking for? Do you guys remember what I was looking for? I was looking for another watch that died. It was a NASA Special Edition GW6900. Oh, there it is. It's dead. It's dead. And again, we just have to expose it to the sun. I'm thinking that one of my other sons might want to wear this one. Now, why don't I send it to my oldest son who's studying engineering? Well, because the formulas on it are incorrect. This says impact, energy equals half mass times velocity. That is the formula for kinetic energy, not the formula for impact. And if it was alive, you could press the light button and it would show you the formula for gravity without the gravitational constant, right? So my oldest son training to be an engineer, you know, I don't know if he wants incorrect formulas on his watch. No incorrect formulas here. And did you see how it just illuminated? This has that auto illuminate feature, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. This GW M500A has every feature a G-Shock old head is going to want, all right? It doesn't have, you know, the, whatchamacallit, all of the, you know, like the special compass, barometer, or altimeter of the Mudman or the Rangeman, right? But it has the time zone, extra time zone functionality, alarms, stopwatch, timer, all right? And the auto illuminate. So what happens is when you're wearing it and you flip your wrist up, it will automatically turn on the light. And you can set the light to come on for 1 second or 3 seconds. All right. And so, I mean, this is a great watch for a G-Shock old head. The only thing I would say is that it's thick. And again, check out Tim Johnson's video, Real Ideal Gear, where he describes, like, he has an algorithm, like a numerical value for how chunky the watch is. Okay. Like my wife tried it on, said that this one's too chunky. And which leads me to the next subject, the watch crotch. This is really interesting. That the watch, when you look at how the band articulates, right? So the lug to lug is pretty thick, but the band articulates way down here because where the lugs are in this beginning of this band is like rigid, it's fixed. So it bends here, right? And so that makes a really wide watch crotch, which makes this watch good if you have a thick wrist, right? Now, how far around your wrist is a different story, all right? Like I said, 8.5 inches is like the limit, I think. All right. And by the way, look at this, this little barb that keeps the keeper from sliding off the end of the tail of the band. All right, and it has a notch in it, so it's like it's a notch with this reciprocating barb. I think that this is a really cool design, really streamlined design. And they did not continue making this type of streamlined design on other watches. I mean, maybe there are a few others, right? But in 2013, you might be thinking that this is the paradigm of G-Shocks moving forward, but you would be wrong, all right? They're really into the throwback style. You know, they're really into retro. You know, that's how they keep all of the G-Shock old heads happy, by taking off the features we want, but copying the style that we were used to. They're trying to trick us. All right, I think I speak for a lot of people that telling G-Shock, you know, the style a lot of times is secondary to the functionality. Okay, so like they this watch, which is a DWH 5600, you know, they wanted to add all these new whiz-bang features, and they took away a lot of the ones we like, but they still copied the old-fashioned look of the original Square. Which I appreciate this style, but, you know, I would love to see Multiband 6. I would love to see charging that completely charged the watch. You know, solar charging that completely charges the watch, which is not here, okay? And the heart rate monitor, I mean, you know, I actually got a lot out of the heart rate monitor, much more than I thought. You know, I lost a lot of weight wearing these heart rate monitor watches. And if Tim Johnson made a joke, it's like this green light that comes on is like a magical laser beam that sucks away fat. You know, so I mean, like, I was surprised by how much these fitness watches helped me lose weight and get back into shape. See if we can get that green light going. Just to show you, it's not cooperating. A lot of times, like, the green light is like so bright when I put the watch face down, the green light starts flashing. It kind of hurts your eyes. But anyways, I got sidetracked from my rant. The rant is that, you know, style. All right, we've got a lot of different styles of G-Shocks. So what? Functionality. What the G-Shock old heads want to see is a positive screen because we love it, legibility. That's number one. Number two, solar charging that completely charges the watch. And number three, multiband 6. What's the big deal? Just throw it on there. Now, people would say, oh, we don't have multiband 6 in Brazil. We don't have multiband 6 in India. That's all right. But if it's still on the watch, those of us who are in range can use it, all right? And I know it might drive up the cost of a watch a little bit, but it's just good to have, in my opinion, all right? So those are the three things that G-Shock old heads want. This GW M500A has the G-Shock old head features, okay? And it is still available on gshock.com, and I will leave a link below that you can click and buy it directly from G-Shock, okay? And, I forgot to mention, they have the 3 eyes, right? And so this left one, I believe, is just an animation, but these middle ones do more than are on the 6900 watches, some of which just have, you know, just decoration. These are not decoration. These are indications of certain features being on or off of the watch. For example, alarms, or the hourly chime, or you know, whether it chimes at all, or whether you have the light to turn on automatically, et cetera, et cetera. I can't really see it right now through the screen of my phone. You can kind of see in the middle eye and in the right eye, you have letters around the side, because it's letting you know that certain watch features are on, right? In the left eye, which is a little bit bigger, is just an animation as the seconds tick away, okay? And I think that in the stopwatch, I think it kind of counts up. I mean, just put on a stopwatch and you can see. Yeah, so you can see the fractions of a second. Just another animation. And I'm holding down the mode, and it doesn't look like it automatically goes to the main time, but whatever. Okay, so what was my rant? Yes, you have 3 eyes. Now, 3 eyes have like a metal perimeter that makes the watch blingy because the bezel is metal. However, it can be a little bit distracting. If you're easily distracted. If you're someone who at a store, like when the packaging looks like fishing lures and you stop and look, you know, like you're a simpleton, you're a fish brain, you could get distracted by your own watch. Now, it does have a raised bezel that's metal, okay, and the top, the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock position have the kind of a crenellation that's extra raised, and you have some bumpers on the side, right? So the screen is well protected, but it does have that bowl effect, so you could have filth pool up, right? You don't have the drains like on the Mudman, like, just to jog your memory. Oh, this isn't the Mudman. This is the Gravity Master. Stay tuned for this review. Just gotta keep wearing it. Well, I think I may have dropped the Mudmaster. Or, excuse me, not the Mudmaster. I am saving up for the Mudmaster. Stay tuned for that. The Mudman, all right? And yes, I do have the metal bezel Mudman. I think I left it in the shower. It got really dirty when I was working on Steve's Mustang. But anyways, yeah, this Mudman has crenellations. Like, these are actually dogs. They hold down the bezel. But the drainage is great. So you have the protection and the drainage. No drainage here. So if, you know, you get really muddy, really dirty, might be a problem. Might have filth pooled up. I don't know. The buttons are plastic, and like they're like streamlined, oval shaped, ergonomic, and you know, there's not the accidental button presses, but I haven't done the glove test on it. I don't know if I'll be able to because my son's taking it this weekend. But anyways, the buttons, you know, just get your finger in there. May not be the best buttons if you're wearing gloves, but if you do wear gloves a lot, the best buttons to press with gloves is the Mudman, right? It has these shrouds that prevent accidental button pressing and protects the buttons, and also just enough to catch it with a gloved finger, and I've tested that out. The Rangeman is good for button pressing while gloved too, but like the buttons actually can be like too easily pressed. I believe that is a flaw, especially on the light, that it can be pressed too easily. I mean, you're not going to have a bunch of ridiculous accidental button presses because they are protected. It's not like you're wearing a Casio watch where the buttons are just sticking out there. The AE 1500, actually, that's one drawback of the AE 1500, if I can find it again, is that, you know, these buttons can get bumped easily. Like just wearing it on your wrist, you could bump these buttons and they can press. All right, obviously that won't be the problem on the GW M500A. All right, and the light button is this nice metal front and center G-Shock button. It has that G-Shock symbol, which is just the G. It looks like the G is holding a Glock. Right? Does it not look like the G is holding a Glock? Right. Anyways, press it, bing bang boom light comes on. All right. So it's a little bit recessed, so you're not going to have that accidental illumination, but you stick a pointy part of your thumb in there, and that illumination comes on. And I don't even think this is LED. I think this is the old, what do they call it? Electroluminescent, right? So G-Shock, since after they made this watch, the brainiacs determined that LEDs were better, right? So a lot of these new watches, when you press the illumination, it's LEDs. You see two LEDs there. And the old heads do not like that. I forgot to mention that. Old heads like, G-Shock old heads like electroluminescent. They do not like LEDs when it comes to watch illumination. And I am old enough that I remember when Timex Indiglo came out. And I remember when it was new. And I remember when, after being out for a while, they were like, oh yes, it's actually radioactive. Oops. That's how I remember it. Is that actually what happened? Or is this like, am I misremembering it? Or is it Mandela effect? Was that luminescent, the first like electroluminescent, was that radioactive? Am I misremembering that? Does anybody else remember that? I don't know. But like I said, I think this watch is pretty cool. It might be good for an above average wrister, but it's kind of small. So if you're a really big wrister, I think it might actually not be long enough. Like I said, 8.5 inches is big, but if you get closer to 6 inches, you may not find it to be comfortable because of that extra wide watch crotch. And let's just compare the watch crotch. And by the way, AI said that watch crotch is inappropriate. I don't know how else to describe it, the gap between two legs. It's a technical term. You guys need to grow up and mature, okay? So the biggest watch crotch is the King, right? So you can see how big that watch crotch is. And the watch crotch on the MW500A is very similar, okay? A little bit smaller. It's kind of hard to see. A little bit smaller, but we're in the same ballpark. Excuse me. I was hoping to make it all the way through this video without coughing. But anyways, the band on the King is much longer. This is a mega huge long band. Right? Way longer. So the GD010 is kind of similar too, that it has, you know, that bulge. But anyways, I made a whole nother video about that. Where did the GW M500A go? Here it is. Gentlemen, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. I'm Jim Kincaid. Thanks for watching. And also, thanks again to Tim Johnson for the G-Shock mystery box, which this one was in. I'm Jim Kincaid. Thanks for watching.